Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the Burnout Washburn podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Got a fantastic episode all about brain health for you today. How to optimize your brain, how to really turn this thing on and start playing at a higher level. So, get ready to take some notes and enjoy episode number 44 of the Burnout Washburn podcast. Before we really dive in today, I wanted to give a huge shout out to you guys, all the listeners spreading the word on your Instagram stories, shooting me little messages, letting me know the takeaways and things you're learning and applying in your own life. I cannot express my sincere gratitude for that enough. That's how we continue to impact more lives and spread a positive message. So huge thank you to you guys, and infinite mahalo to all the Patreon supporters, the gratitude gang holding me down on Patreon. I love you guys so much. It means the world to me that you believe in the message that I'm spreading. You're helping me create more art, create more content, impact more lives in a positive way. So you guys are like little warriors of love in the world in my eyes, and I just appreciate you so much. So thank you so much for everyone. If you're pitching $5, $10, $20 a month, it just helps out so much. And I really can't do this without you guys. I can't thank all of y'all enough for helping me live my dreams, fulfill my soul's mission, do what I love, get paid to do what I love, be able to travel the world, be able to help people, go to bed fulfilled at night, feeling like I'm making at least somewhat of a positive difference in people's lives. So you guys are helping create a ripple effect of that, and it's just nothing but love and respect and appreciation to all of you. So let's dive into today's episode. I felt inspired to talk about brain health and how to optimize and turn on this beautiful machine of ours. So I want to give you some of my best tools, strategies, foods, tactics, mindsets, and just ideas that can help you get the most out of your brain and start operating on a higher level where you're thinking more clearly, able to focus longer, being more productive, and ultimately just functioning smoother in life. So I want to dive in first with just talking about some of the best foods, because I think really the brain, the gut, the heart, it's all connected. So it's really a holistic thing. Our spirit, our body, everything is really all one. So it's not just about the brain. So I want to get that out of the way first. But one of the most important first steps in my eyes is to just dial in the nutrition and dial in like the 3D physical aspect or component of brain health. So you make your gut happy, your brain's happy. If you optimize your microbiome, then your brain's just going to function a lot better. And that all starts with what we're putting in our bodies. So number one key, super obvious, but you have to stay super hydrated. Like 99% of people do not drink enough water, and even most people that think they do just still aren't drinking enough. And they don't realize a lot of the other things they're consuming are dehydrating them. You know, if you're consuming soda or alcohol or things like that, it's dehydrating you rapidly. So you have to drink a lot more water than you realize. I'm drinking like a gallon and a half a day, sometimes more if I'm super active. And I'm like a small dude, you know what I mean? So a lot of y'all should be drinking even more than that. But that's kind of the first obvious thing, is just to dial in your water. Make sure you're staying hydrated. If you're having trouble focusing, if you're having headaches or anything like that, a lot of time, the first thing you need to do is just dive into your hydration a little bit deeper and dial that in more. So that said, let's talk about some of the best foods for your brain. The first one, that's one of my favorites, is blueberries. Jim Kwik, who's one of the world's leading experts on brain health and memory, likes to call blueberries brain berries. So that's a nice, easy one to remember. And another one that's delicious with blueberries and delicious with many other things that I am low-key addicted to is dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is really good for your brain. But you want to make sure you're getting sustainably sourced dark chocolate. For, the cacao trade, the whole chocolate industry is pretty crazy. So you want to spend the extra couple bucks to get it from a company who cares about the environment And I recommend getting a way higher percentage of cacao than like. Your taste buds will adapt over time. I eat personally like 88% cacao. Anything above 80% I'll eat. Anything below that I usually don't eat. So the higher cacao content usually means the less sugar and the less other stuff is added to it. It's a little darker, more bitter, but I don't know, it's delicious and really good for your brain. Another one is avocados. Avocado is really good. Pretty much all healthy fats are good for your brain. The brain actually really likes to operate off of fats. Walnuts are really good for your brain, and if you look at walnuts, they look exactly like a brain. So you can get a lot of clues in nature and just by looking at foods and find out what parts of the body that they're good for. Another one is broccoli. Broccoli is good for your brain. Most types of berries are pretty good for your brain. I like acai. I don't know how you say it. Elderberries, a lot of different berries are good for your brain. Green tea is good for your brain. Usually spinach and most leafy greens, dark leafy greens are really good for your brain. Turmeric. Coffee is good for your brain, but with coffee you want to not be, all the sugar and all the cream and all that stuff is not good for your brain. So I drink black coffee, cold brewed coffee, because cold brew is 70% less acidic than regular coffee. And it's way cheap. I make an entire like 2 week supply for under $3. And that's with alkaline water and organic fair trade coffee beans that are freshly ground and then put into a mason jar and brewed for about 18 to 24 hours just by sitting in the mason jar in my kitchen, and I bless it with crystals and love. And it's like the healthiest kind of coffee that you could probably drink. And it's really good for your brain, but you want to make sure you're getting quality coffee because a lot of coffee has a lot of molds and toxins that's really toxic to your brain and will do way more harm than good. So with all of these foods, I'll say you want to get them quality source. If you're getting even blueberries, I only eat organic blueberries now because I learned that a lot of them is a lot of other blueberries are sprayed with Roundup and all these crazy chemicals that are really bad for our brain and bad for our whole entire being. Eggs are good for your brain. Most nuts and seeds are really good for your brain. And you want to find out what works for you by doing microbiome testing or just elimination diet to find out. Because, yeah, nuts and seeds are all good for your brain, but certain people might be allergic to different kinds of nuts. And you got to, again, with the nuts, it's really important where you get them. If they're all moldy and non-organic and old, just bad nuts, then they're not going to be good for your brain. But high quality organic sprouted nuts, oh my god, super good for your brains. Raw nuts, not with anything. Don't get any of these trail mixes. I tell people eat nuts and seeds and they go buy like these trail mixes that are like GMO toxic nuts, probably with a lot of molds and GMO and chemicals sprayed on them and whatever. The molds aren't sprayed on them. Chemicals are sprayed on them. Molds are growing in them. And not to mention that, they're doused with canola oil, which is one of the worst things for your brain and your overall health. Or just other types of bad oils and then like drenched and then added salt and not the good kind of salt. Like, you get the idea. So all of these things need to be sourced from the right thing. I can't express that enough. A lot of the things that we can do to make our brain better is just by simply like rewilding ourselves back to how we naturally evolved to be with Mother Nature and get away from all these toxic chemicals that are in our food supply, in our water supply, in our cleaning supplies, in our kitchens, and, a lot of these restaurants are serving. So it's getting back to the basics that Mother Earth designed how it was supposed to be and not adding all these chemicals and crazy technologies and crazy things and microwaves and all this stuff that's going to ruin the beautiful compounds that are found on our wonderful planet here. So pumpkin seeds are good for your brain. Different type of fish is good for your brain. I don't personally eat meat, but if you're a meat eater, different types of fish like salmon, if they're like wild caught and come from a good source where they're tested for mercury and all that stuff, then go ahead with that. Tomatoes are good for your brains. Almonds are good for your brains. Oats, just like raw organic rolled oats are the healthiest kind of oats. Just regular rolled oats are usually like the least processed out of all the oats. Steel cut's good too. Coconut oil and just MCT oil is really good for your brain. So you can drink like some black coffee with some added MCT oils, like some brain octane or something like that. And that can help. Another few things that I've been doing as far as like foods and superfoods and supplements, it's like the main thing is that I just first of all make sure I'm eating healthy and giving my body all these superfoods that are going to be good for my brain and my gut. And then I make sure I keep my blood sugar from spiking, so I don't have all these extra carbs and extra sugar that are going to spike my blood sugar, because that has an immense impact on our brain health and our overall longevity and our lifespan and everything. So the amount of times your blood sugar goes up and down is directly related to like how long you're going to live and whether you might get certain diseases or not. So things that spike your blood sugar like super fast are not good, like all these candy bars and all the super processed sugar. Like, I like sugar when it comes from nature, like a banana or something, or an apple. Then it's wrapped up with a lot of these, even though it has lots of sugar, it's wrapped up with a lot of fiber and wrapped up with a lot of healthy natural compounds that make the sugar release slower in our bodies and not just give us this huge crazy spike and then this gnarly crash. It's like this more sustainable thing that our body has actually evolved to be able to utilize properly. So I don't mind eating, a decent amount of sugar every day, but it's got to come from fruits and vegetables and things that just come raw whole foods that come out of the earth. Another thing is different types of mushrooms. I've recently been loving the different four sigmatic mushroom blends. Chaga, cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane. These are all things that are good for so many different reasons, like just all sorts of science is coming out about the blessings that mushrooms bring. And wow, I notice a huge difference when I'm taking lion's mane, and when I'm stacking that with psilocybin microdosing, it is profound. I've been doing that the last few weeks, about 3 days, 4 days a week, and been doing that often. I've been microdosing psilocybin off and on for the last like year or two. And it's, I'm going to do a whole episode on microdosing, so that's coming here in the next few weeks. And so get tuned for that. There's a lot of beautiful information that I have about that. But, legal disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet. These are all just from my personal research. I've studied from lots of doctors. I've read lots of books. I listened to PhDs and doctors and amazing people on podcasts all the time and absorb their information, and then I apply it in my own life and see what works for me, and then I share whatever works for me on this podcast. So I'm not making any claims here. I'm just telling you what works for me and what has been studied by other super acclaimed, credible people. That said, microdosing the psilocybin, stacking it with lion's mane, and sometimes chaga and cordyceps and reishi too, and turkey tail and different types of mushrooms. Like, there's this synergy that happens with different types of mushrooms where they balance each other out. Like, I notice when I microdose without lion's mane, I can sometimes be a little bit more scattered and like a little bit more on like I could go off on these creative tangents, whereas like with that, when I include lion's mane, I'm a little bit more grounded and a little bit more focused. And lion's mane is traditionally it's been used for thousands of years by monks for like deeper focus during meditation, and it's been used for a lot of top like coders, like people that like are high up working at Facebook are microdosing and using lion's mane too. And Paul Stamets is like one of the leading mushroom experts that talks about this. So I have his brand of lion's mane. His brand's called Host Defense. And he's a really cool dude with a wealth of information. Like his two most recent interviews on the Joe Rogan podcast were very informative. They're like 2 or 3 hours long each, but he drops a ton of wisdom on mushrooms. And it's cool to see all this science coming out about the many benefits of the fantastic fungi. Speaking of that, there's a movie called Fantastic Fungi that is actually playing in select theaters. Like, there's like 1 or 2 theaters in Salt Lake if anyone wants to go see it with me. It's playing for the next few months. I want to go check it out. It's by Louis Schwartz, who also did He did a lot of amazing nature documentaries, and he did that nature, beauty, gratitude, little TED Talk thing. If you've seen that, he just does amazing work. And so this is like his magnum opus, like his baby, his passion and his life's work on called Fantastic Fungi. So I really want to go see that. But anyway, I'm doing that, and then if I really need some extra brain power, like I've got a super important meeting where I just have a lot of work that I need to get done in a short amount of time, or I'm performing a show and I just want to be sharp and on point because I'm going to be interacting with lots of fans and things like that, or maybe I'm hosting a workshop or a webinar or something like that. I'll take this beautiful stack on top of all the other things I already mentioned, which is called Alpha Brain by Onnit. Onnit is Aubrey Marcus's company, if you've heard of him. He's an OG, amazing podcast host, psychonaut, health expert, just badass, cool dude. You should definitely follow Aubrey Marcus. But anyway, his company's called Onnit, and it's actually Joe Rogan's company too. They're partnered on it. And they created Alpha Brain, which is double-blind, placebo, tested and studied on just so many different levels, just clinically proven to increase cognitive function and memory and overall brain support. So that's if I really want to like ramp it up, I'll take some Alpha Brain. But okay, so enough about supplements and foods. That's just first step. The other really important step is that you get enough sleep. Optimizing your sleep, blocking out blue light so you can produce enough melatonin, getting that sunlight exposure within the first 10 minutes of waking up, doing what's called perineum sunning, which I've talked about, which used to be called butthole sunning, but they came up with a better name for it, so it's called perineum sunning now, because I guess it's not just butthole, it's other parts too. But that's where you let the sun into the parts of your body where it normally doesn't shine, and that can help, get you the levels of vitamin D. And just having the right levels of nutrients and vitamins in your system is key. But also getting your circadian rhythm is on point is so key. So getting that sunlight first thing in the morning, and then sun gazing has proven to really help circadian rhythms and improve sleep quality. This has been tested a lot. And sun gazing is only to be done like the first 10 to 20 minutes of the day and the last 10 to 20 minutes of the day. Otherwise, the sun produces too much ultraviolet. So that's the only time where there's like really no ultraviolet coming out of the sun, and it's safe to actually stare right at it. And it can help you regulate your hormones, balance out your whole body, and produce the right amount of melatonin to just keep your circadian rhythm on point and help you wake up and fall asleep at the right times every day and get enough deep sleep. Because it's not about how long you sleep, it's about the quality of your sleep, and you want to get that deep REM sleep and get the right cycles. So sunlight exposure, interacting with Mother Nature, forest bathing, earthing, barefoot grounding, touching the soil, breathing in the essential oils of the trees and the forest. All this stuff is going to help your brain so much. Just observing plants and observing wildlife will help your brain. I'm sure of that. Just hiking around can put you into a flow state. Hiking in Mother Nature, like when I'm by myself hiking, it's when I have my most clear, profound thoughts and breakthrough ideas on what to do in my life, and inspiration just hits me, and I should go home and do this. Oh, I could do this. Oh, and then like all my problems seem to get solved, I feel like, as I'm just hiking through Mother Nature, observing it and being in the moment. So getting outside, getting enough sleep, optimizing your sleep, drinking enough water, dialing in your nutrition, adding in some of those extra superfoods, some of those extra supplements and mushrooms, and interacting with Mother Nature, our natural environment, getting your bare feet on the ground, and interacting with the microbiome of the planet Earth. And these are all things that are going to really turn on your brain, help you function more. And physical exercise is a huge, huge, huge part of that as well. I honestly, that was when I first started exercising, that was the first difference that I started noticing. Within like a few weeks, I started like, whoa, I'm just thinking more clearly. And when I work out, my brain is just sharper and I'm more on point those days. And I'm recording this episode kind of late at night right as I'm about to go to bed. So I've had a long day and I'm kind of tired right now. And my brain is still functioning quite well, despite the fact that I've been doing a lot today. I've had a really productive day. I've been using my brain at full capacity, and I think that's, I'm able to do that because I'm taking these supplements and superfoods. I'm eating right. I'm sleeping right. I'm out in nature a lot. I'm exercising. I'm moving my body. I'm getting the blood flowing. I'm hanging upside down sometimes to get some more extra blood and oxygen into the brain and into the heart. I'm doing a lot of breath work. I'm breathing deep breath work. I could spend 20 minutes right now talking about how breath impacts your brain, but I'll just tell you right now that it's huge. Breathing deep. Through the diaphragm, just connecting with your breath. So important. I've been talking so fast, I'm like running out of breath myself. I need to chill and breathe a little deeper myself. But anyway, I've been hitting up the oxygen bar at this spot called Water Fusions. Shout out Water Fusions in Sugar House, Utah. Biohacking facility, juices, superfoods, smoothies, keto friendly, all sorts of awesome stuff. Meditation room, DNA scans, whole 9 yards. Super awesome place. And if you're in Salt Lake and you really want to optimize your brain and optimize your health, that's definitely one of the places you should be checking in at on the regular with me, because they have a lot of tools, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of really amazing people there to help optimize your brain. So I've been hitting up the oxygen bar there, and that kind of segues me into my next point, which is surrounding yourself with smart people and listening to intelligent podcasts. I know when I listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast, I feel smarter because he interviews such intellectual people that I just absorb all this wisdom, and it makes my brain function a little nicer, I feel like, just listening to all these super smart people. PhDs, authors, high-level university Ivy League people, and high-level entrepreneurs and hedge fund managers and health experts and all these people with wealth of knowledge. Just listening to them helps my brain function, and reading new books, reading books in general is just so good for your brain. Working out your brain, just like working out your body, is good for your brain. Like doing Sudoku and doing different things, like and reading and doing different puzzles and all sorts of things like that can help your brain. So definitely think of your brain as like a muscle that you can constantly improve over time. It doesn't need to keep declining with old age like society's programmed us to think. We can actually keep getting smarter and keep improving our memory and keep getting healthier and healthier and healthier on all levels. And speaking of reading books, there's actually a great book all about brain health called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Dr. Daniel Amen, or Daniel Amen. I think it's Daniel Amen. I don't know how to... Daniel Amen, Amen. Daniel Ahmed. Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Amazing book. Definitely helped me optimize my brain health and realize that I could turn on and off these different things like anxiety and stress and depression just by how I was treating my brain. And then another thing that's been huge for my brain health is binaural beats, isochronic tones, and different sound healing modalities to put my brain in different patterns, whether that's in training my brain into an alpha state, a theta state, a beta state, a gamma state, depending on where I'm trying to be, whether I'm trying to focus or sleep better or meditate or what have you. Using sound, using the vibration of sound energy to affect my brain waves is so remarkable. I cannot tell you how effective these binaural beats and isochronic tones are, especially for focus. When I really need to laser focus on something, I can put on headphones and go to YouTube. I'll type in binaural beats, focus, or isochronic tones, focus. Put on these headphones and just go in for like 3-4 hours, just laser focusing on work. I try to take breaks every like 45 minutes or something. I take a little break or something like that because that's supposed to be optimal for brain health. But sometimes when I'm listening to these binaural beats, isochronic tones, I just like end up focusing for 3-4 hours straight. I don't even realize how much time's passing because I'm just crushing it. So I definitely recommend checking those out if you're trying to turn on your brain and you really need to be on point. Like if you got a big meeting or interview or something like that, invest 30 minutes in the headphones listening to these binaural beats and find ones that you like that sound good to you, and you can turn them on at a super low volume so you can still be hearing other stuff in the background, or you can be shopping, or you can be whatever, and you can be laser focused. Like I'll use these sometimes when I go into a store to go shopping. I usually like to shop like for groceries on Instacart because it saves me time and I can invest that in more effective ways. But if I do go to the store, I notice sometimes this overwhelming amount of colors and choices and peoples and energies and decisions, and whoa, it's a lot. So I'll put on isochronic tones or binaural beats in my headphones and just go into the store and laser focus. All right, I'm here to get this, this, that. And it's like, I'm like thinking 3 steps ahead of like which aisle I need to go to and where that thing is on that aisle. And I'm just like already calculated how much everything's going to cost. And I got it dialed in, and I see that guy walking over here, and I'm going to go get in this other line because this one's going to be faster. And I'm just like functioning at a high level listening to these things. So that's really huge. Another big, probably one of the biggest tips that I have for you today, and then I'm going to wrap up this episode, is meditation. Meditation is so profoundly impactful on brain health. There's all sorts of science coming out from the world's leading experts about how meditation is impacting our brain. It actually thickens the corpus callosum, which is the highway, it's the bridge between our left and right brain, between those two hemispheres. So just by meditating, just by observing your thoughts and breathing, and just, you could listen to guided meditations on Headspace or count your breaths or do all these different types of meditations. And just by doing that, you're improving your brain health. You're increasing neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to change and adapt and grow and learn new ideas and develop new neural circuits. And, microdosing and working with these different mushroom medicines can really help neuroplasticity as well. But it's crazy. It's free. It's safe. It's easy. Meditate. Count your breaths. Try some guided meditations, and you can literally improve how your brain functions just by doing that for 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. And over time, you just get smarter and smarter, and your brain starts to function at a higher level. Like I am so much smarter than I was 5 years ago before I was meditating. I seem to be able to assimilate knowledge and wisdom at a much more rapid pace. I seem to be able to express myself more eloquently. I seem to be able to get way more done in less time. I'm just more productive than ever. I'm getting less stressed, less anxious, obviously meditation has so many benefits. I'm healing all this trauma and healing all this stuff, but I'm also just changing how my brain operates. I'm literally rewiring the neural circuits in my brain and my gut and my whole entire being, shifting my biochemistry to work in my favor rather than work against me. When I was eating junk food and not sleeping and staring at screens too much, and I still do the screen thing too much sometimes. I need to check myself on that on the regular, but man, it's just so valuable to think that you can just meditate and your brain will become smarter and healthier, and you can reduce your risk of disease. And wow, why would it would seem so foolish to not meditate with knowing all the benefits that come from it, that have been studied, that have been talked about by the smartest people in the world, that have been practiced by all the best cultures for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Like, you understand? I'm passionate about this. So meditate, get out in nature, interact with the natural environment, drink enough water, eat the right foods, eat those blueberries and those nuts and those seeds and the dark chocolates and the coffee, and make sure you're sourcing those from the right places, from organic, high quality, raw, natural forms from how they were designed and intended to come in nature. Prioritize your sleep. Use blue light blocker glasses if you have to. Check your phone usage and your screen usage, especially at night and after the sun is down. Get in the sun first thing in the morning and stare at the sun as it's going down the last 10 minutes of the sunset. Take your shoes off and barefoot ground. Interact with natural bodies of water. Take cold showers. Take ice baths. Meditate. Breathe. Get fresh oxygen. Try some mushrooms and some superfoods and read books. Get yourself around smart people and smart ideas and consume high-level information and content that's rather than just scrolling through brain-numbing things like scrolling through a bunch of random-ass videos on TikTok, which could be fun, but like that's time that could be invested in growth and self-development and improvement so you can become a healthier, happier, more fulfilled version of yourself. So invest that time listening to podcasts that are going to teach you stuff, listening to audiobooks and YouTube channels that are going to expand your awareness, expand your consciousness, rather than just numb you and spread a bunch of random fake news and our whole entire body, our subconscious, our brain, everything is just really absorbing everything that we're consuming, everything we're listening to, watching to. We're like giant sponges and we don't even realize it. So be careful what you're consuming and who you're allowing yourself to be around. And another tip that's kind of random side note, but important to mention is protect your brain. If you're doing any type of extreme sports, I've had some brain injuries. I've been knocked unconscious multiple times. Snowboarding, dirt biking, skateboarding, all this stuff. Like, I always thought I was too cool for a helmet, and you only have one brain and you can't get certain things back. Like certain things can't really be, fixed yet. And I'm a fan. I know anything really can be healed and fixed and stuff, but there's certain type of brain injuries that are difficult to bounce back from. So you just want to protect yourself and check yourself before you wreck yourself, quite honestly. You know what I mean? And that's obvious, but a lot of us don't think about that, or we're like a little too confident. And I kind of say that because I need to hear it myself and not worry about how cool I look and just check my brain and be careful what I'm doing. But I would be remiss not to mention that on an episode about brain health. So I'm going to go drink a bunch of water, sip on this beautiful, delicious kombucha, have another small piece of dark chocolate with a couple walnuts because they look like brains. Maybe some pumpkin seeds because those are super good for the brain too. And I'm going to call it a night after that. So I hope you enjoyed this episode all about the brain. I could go a lot deeper, but I wanted to give a gist overview and provide as much value as I could in a short amount of time. So those are my best tips for now. We'll go deeper on more episodes. I've got some episodes all about microdosing coming up. I've got episode about marketing and branding coming up. I've got an episode about just the Quantum Vision workshop that's coming up in February, because a lot of people are already signing up for that. Tickets are just selling way faster than I imagined for that. And we got people coming from like 4 different states, mostly females so far, which is crazy. So I got a whole episode all about that. So I got some really good episodes coming for you. And then we're going to wrap up season 1 after the end of, after the end of January, we're going to wrap up season 1. And then on season 2, I'm going to start interviewing guests. I'm going to get a whole new podcast studio, which I'm going to need to get a lot more Patreon support from y'all. And I'm just going to need to step up on some new levels of abundance and prosperity, tap into a podcast recording studio that I can comfortably bring guests into rather than bringing them into my house. And I have like all these amazing guests lined up that are going to teach us so much and entertain you so much. And I've also got another episode just all about my entire life story coming up. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and stay tuned. I've got a lot of dope stuff. I've been going hard on TikTok at Young Bernie Gold, or you can just hit me up on Instagram or wherever you already follow me and I'll send you the link. TikTok is cool. It's an amazing new platform that's blowing. It's not new, but it's blowing up. And Gary Vee's yelling at everyone saying, if you're not on TikTok, you're fucking up. And a lot of people are just blowing up on there. So I started one and it's really fun. There's a lot of cool things you can do on there. I've been kind of finding my own unique way to use the platform and it's fun. So check me out on there if you're on TikTok. Other than that, I got more inspiring content always coming at you on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, so check me out on there. And if you got value from this episode, make sure to share it with at least one person. Check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/BurnellWashburn, and throw $5, $10, $20 a month, and even if you could do it for just a month or two, anything is very appreciated. I don't expect it. I just appreciate it. You have you guys are just amazing. You guys are helping me fulfill my soul's purpose. And God, what more could a man want? I'm just blessed. So I love you so much. I really appreciate everyone who's been sharing this. Shoot me a message, especially if you listen this far in. Let me know you listened to the Brain episode. And let's keep this thing building. I love you so much. Go create an amazing rest of your day. You deserve to have it all. Infinite possibilities are open to you. You can be, do, and have anything on this wonderful, magical, beautiful planet. You are a divine being. You are guided. You are connected. You are protected. You are loved. You are more powerful than you ever know. So, just wanted to remind you that. Love ya. See you soon on another episode. Peace.